Okay, let's talk about the American university system. You know, it's this global powerhouse, right? But man, it can also seem incredibly confusing. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to demystify it for you. We'll break down how it's all put together, what it actually feels like to be a student, and why it's still such a huge magnet for people from all over the world. Yeah, this quote right here, it hits the nail on the head. Because the American system, it's really not about just cramming facts for a test. The big focus, and you'll see this again and again, is on practical learning and innovation. We're talking about ideas that you can actually take from the classroom and use in the real world. That's the core idea we're going to keep circling back to. All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We've got 4 main stops. First, we'll map out your path. Then, we'll take a look inside the classroom. After that, we'll explore why it's such a global crossroads. And finally, we'll get real about its strengths and its strains. All right, let's jump right in with part 1. Look, before you can really get a handle on any system, you've got to understand the basics, right? The actual structure. These are the building blocks of an American education. So a good way to think about the American system is like a ladder, but it's a ladder with a bunch of different places to get on and off. You could start with a 2-year associate degree, which is awesome for a specific technical skill, or even just as a stepping stone. Then, of course, you've got the classic 4-year bachelor's. And if you want to go further, you can specialize with a master's or go all the way to the top with a doctorate. But here's the really cool part. It's all about flexibility. You absolutely do not have to follow this path step by step. So where do you actually hop on that ladder? Well, for a lot of people, the journey starts in one of 2 main places. First up, you've got community colleges. These are usually way more affordable, they're focused on the local community, and they're perfect if you want to get a 2-year degree or get ready to transfer to a bigger university. Then, on the other side, you've got your traditional 4-year universities. These are the ones that take you straight into a bachelor's program and give you that classic campus life experience you see in movies. Okay, but once you get past the bachelor's and into postgraduate studies, this is where one of the system's biggest strengths really shines. We're talking about master's and doctoral programs, and they're especially famous in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and in management. So what's their secret sauce? It's that strong link to industry. This isn't just ivory tower research. Nope, it's the kind of innovation that creates actual products and new companies. All right, so we've got the structure down, but what does it actually feel like to be a student in all this? Let's shift gears and go from the big picture to the day-to-day life inside the classroom. Okay, you've definitely heard this one in movies, right? GPA, grade point average. This little acronym is the central number for academic success in the US. It's basically a standard system that takes all your letter grades, an A for awesome down to an F for, well, not so awesome, and boils them down to one single number. It's like a running snapshot of how you're doing. And that GPA, it's not all riding on one massive, scary final exam. Not at all. The whole system is built on something called continuous assessment. That means your final grade is a mix of, well, everything. Your homework, class presentations, those group projects you either love or hate, and yeah, several exams spread out over the semester. And there's a really smart reason for doing it this way. The whole idea is to reward you for consistent effort, not for pulling an all-nighter to cram right before a final. The goal is to get you to really engage with the material all year long, to jump into discussions and to actually understand it, not just memorize a bunch of facts for one single high-pressure test. Of course, you can't talk about a modern classroom without talking about tech. I mean, it is everywhere. It's completely woven into the fabric of learning now. We're talking sophisticated online platforms, virtual reality labs you can explore from home, even AI tools that help you learn. And look, this isn't just a cool gimmick. It is fundamentally changing the game, making education way more flexible, way more interactive, and open to literally anyone, anywhere in the world. Speaking of that global audience, that's actually the perfect way to jump into our third section. Because let's be clear, the American higher ed system is not just for Americans. It's this massive, bustling crossroads that pulls in talented and ambitious people from absolutely everywhere. And a huge reason why it's so popular around the world is that the system is actually designed to welcome people in. Seriously, universities pour a ton of money into building support networks just for international students. Think about it. Special orientation programs, advisors who get what you're going through. The whole point isn't just to get you in the door, it's to make sure you have everything you need to thrive once you're there. And that support comes in a whole bunch of different flavors. It's not just one thing. You have these really big, prestigious scholarships, like the Fulbright program, for example. But you also have financial aid that comes directly from the universities, special offices just for international students, and even social events to help everyone get settled and make friends. It's a whole package deal, really.
So what's in it for the students who make this huge leap? Well, it's pretty transformative. You're not just walking away with a degree, you're diving into this incredible mix of cultures, building a network of contacts from all over the planet, and getting your hands on some of the best academic resources and minds out there. It's the kind of experience that doesn't just shape your career, it shapes how you see the world.
Okay, for our last section, let's zoom out and take a really honest look at the whole system. Because, let's face it, no system is perfect. And American higher ed is caught in this constant push and pull between its amazing strengths on one side and some really serious challenges on the other.
And we have to be real about the challenges because they are huge, and they mostly boil down to one thing: money. Tuition costs have just exploded, creating this massive barrier for so many people. This leads to millions taking on a staggering amounts of student loan debt that can haunt them for decades. And it really makes you ask some tough questions about whether the system is fair and if everyone truly has an equal shot.
But the system isn't just sitting back and letting this happen. There are some major efforts underway to try and fix these problems. We're seeing a much bigger push for more affordable options, like making community colleges more accessible. Online programs are blowing up, which adds a ton of flexibility. And there's a nonstop conversation happening about how to increase financial aid and lighten that load on students. And all of that brings us right back to why the system is still such a powerhouse, even with all its problems. When you strip it all down, it comes back to three core strengths. You get the flexibility to carve out your own path, you learn skills that you can actually use in a job, and you're part of a culture that is obsessed with innovation and pushing things forward. So let's end with this, a question about what comes next. You've got these crushing costs on one side and these world-changing technologies like AI on the other. The system is clearly at a crossroads. So what do you think? What will the next version of American education even look like? Because one thing's for sure, it's not going to stay the same.